What's up, Panda dudes? Peter from Panda here. Hey, just bought myself this Break watch. Never heard of it. I found it totally on accident by surfing Amazon, which I do spend a lot of my day doing that. And thought I would get it just because it looked kind of cool. It comes just like this. This is a total first look. So there's a manual. It's just a little quartz watch, and I picked it up in this color scheme, this kind of white dial with a brown band, because I thought it looked pretty watch. Now I did see that it came in some other color combinations as well. Looks like maybe there's a little plastic here. Let's get rid of that. So you can get it in some different color combos if that floats your boat a little bit more. But I just thought, man, it's a kind of an interesting watch. It kind of reminded me of like welder watches, you know, the offshoot brand of U-boat. It just had an industrial style. I thought it looked really cool. Obviously, looks like it has two quartz movements. So it's a dual time zone watch, but done in a really interesting way. First of all, says genuine leather, and you know, as you can see there, it's a non-tapering straight leather band, probably about, I don't know, 22 millimeters, and kind of a glossy finish with relatively similar color match stitching all the way around, and then squared off. I'll say this watch wasn't that expensive, so the fact that it's stamped genuine leather here, this doesn't really look like it. It kind of looks a little more vinylish, but who knows, right? Should I be upset or embarrassed that I don't always trust the advertising? Because I don't. A black buckle here that also says Break. The nice thing is this buckle is actually quite a bit more sturdy and robust than a lot of buckles. You know, given the inexpensive price point of this watch, it certainly is kind of tickling my fancy here. You can see the lugs, kind of wire style lugs that do droop down. They don't really fall lower than the bottom of the case, but they do kind of aggressively curl here. Spring bars, and you have kind of this bead blasted, almost aluminum like finish, kind of like the back of an iPhone or an iPad. I think this is all paint though. I mean, that's kind of what I would assume, but it actually seems pretty dense. I mean, it doesn't seem like a delicate or cheap watch. Part of that's going to be that the bezel here is pretty thick, but I think it looks good. So let's take a little tour of it, of the dial, which is what really drew me in, right? So we have obviously a main dial and then the smaller sub dial. Both of these are telling the time. You have kind of this brushed circular, kind of turned aluminum like face to them. Break logo up here. You have this kind of color wheel for half of the day for 6 hours, and then 6 hours on that side. So I'm kind of thinking generally, you know, the 60 is the 60 minutes, so you have 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, etc. So it's kind of a little funny that the blue starts at like what would be 12:30 and ends at 6:30. Not really sure why they do it, but it does look nice. But as opposed to having me that blue straight up and down, they just do it for style issues, or style goals there. Silver, again, that silver brushed kind of turned look down here on this sub dial. And let's see, there's no second hand on this one, and it may be a little hard to see here, but maybe we can zoom a little bit. But you can see we have two hands there, and the second hand has a pretty long little chrome pointer on the end there. And you have kind of two, they're kind of stacked on top of each other right now. Let's see if we can get those out. There we go. So you just pull out the crown, knurling there, and then we can rotate it around there. So really pointy hands there, kind of blue paint down the middle, and a blue pointy seconds hand. These hands are similar, silver polished and filled in blue, but a little more square. And that, like I said, that minutes hand has a long point there. Now, it has kind of a crosshair, like a sniper scope, with showing the 12, the 6, the 3, and the 9. And then it has 1, 2, and 7, and 8 written in numbers there. It's just a style thing, really, as far as I can tell. And that's pretty cool. I'm digging that. Dual time, handmade. And so the only thing you're missing here is a seconds hand, which is fine, but it didn't register to me that this movement is running, because if you wanted to change the time, you'd have to pull this out, and there you go. But you know, that's fine. So let's look at the dial here, man. It's a kind of a multi-level thing. You can see here you have kind of this white background of the dial that's like higher than everything else in this part too. So the dials are, you know, the subdials here are kind of set into it, and you have, it looks like kind of white plastic, I'm assuming. You know, there's a really, obviously a lot of 3D relief. There's some kind of these silver rivets in the corners. I don't think these are, you know, bolted down to anything. It's just kind of the way it looks. And then you have like some minute markings around the outside. Now you also have some big, looks like either punched out or applied, most likely Arabic numerals 2, 3, 6, and 7, and those apply to this big main dial. So the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, etc. And then you have the 8 inset, and then that the 10, which is just a 0 over there. So it's pretty cool looking. I mean, a lot of this is done for design's sake, but you can even see how the main watch face here has kind of a angled edge. It's kind of slopes into the dial, right, like little ramps coming down. So just looks good. I mean, you know, right? I mean, I like it. It's a good looking watch. I like the design. You know, it's one of those things that it's tough, I think, to kind of make watches that are unique these days. You know, there are a lot of watch companies coming up, but then there are like a lot of tribute, homage watches, retro watches. You know, and even when I watch the Basil World videos and they're like, oh, look at this, it's Tourbillon, and here we've used, instead of gold, we've used rose gold. You know, there's so many just iterations, kind of incremental and marginal improvements on watches. I do like it when you kind of go off the reservation. Again, it kind of reminds me of a diesel in some ways here. You know, it's got a, kind of a big, blocky, industrial look. And a lot of design for design's sake, but I think they nailed it. I think it looks great. I'll be honest. I do. I think it looks great. So hopefully you think it looks great too, because that's break on the back. I don't know what the reference of break is. Maybe a break from, you know, typical design. So let me do some quick measurements here and show you how big this is, and then do a little wrist. And because it's a fair sized watch, you know, 44.5 millimeters. So it's not huge, but it's a size that I think fits great. Now these watch bands are a little stiff, so we'll put it on there, but kind of keep in mind that's what's going on. Now, so here I have my 7.5 inch wrist. I think this watch fits really nicely. The more this band gets broken in, it's going to fit even better. But man, I definitely dig this. I think it looks great. I love that white and blue and silver and brown. I think they all work. They're kind of, you know, modern, casual. I think it looks great. I dig it. All right, here it is, Peter von Panda with my break watch. Out.